Hello everyone! Today I have an organizing video. That means my sister's with me. So today she's going to help me with the KonMari method of organizing the kitchen. So let's just go ahead and get started.
So I think that the key that we're going to really focus on is figuring out what about her kitchen right now causes her anxiety, frustration, whatever it is, and then also trying to figure out how to use the space she has most efficiently, and then also figuring out what items she doesn't have any more use for, and figuring out how to purge those items. So we'll start there.
So sometimes these bins, like this bin's not closing right now, I just start accumulating a little too much stuff, but that's really my fault. So just trying to make sure I'm not buying more than I actually need and using the things that I have. There's probably room for improvement around here, but I'm feeling pretty good about the direction I've been heading lately. Down here it's pretty empty, just some bags and regular under the counter stuff. So it could be organized, definitely could be organized better, but I don't feel like I've accumulated too much stuff. This is a drawer that does frustrate me because I don't have a lot of drawers in this kitchen, so I'm trying to use this for all my little extra stuff. I look through this once a month to make sure I need everything. I feel like I do, but as you see, it's just annoying to kind of go in and out of because stuff's not fitting. I hate that there's staining down there, and that just literally takes 2 seconds for me to wipe up. I've never wiped it up. It's my fault that there's lids down there and not really on top. I just need to spend a little bit more time when I put my cups up and just putting the lid on so I can stay a little more organized. That does frustrate me. Most of the stuff is, you can see, most of the stuff is really just me not taking necessary time. This stuff is more of entertaining items, which I love to entertain. So I have plenty of that type of stuff, and a lot of Ziploc bags I bought in bulk by mistake. Up here, it could be a little more organized. I've purged a lot of this type of stuff. I may have even done a video on that. I don't really touch everything up here. These are just different types of glasses. I've gone through a purge for most of these things, and then here are dishes. I feel like I'm using this space okay, but I just, would like your opinion. Then here's another little drawer that I keep silverware in, which works pretty fine. And this is a little bit more of a junk drawer and where I keep knives, so this could probably stand a little help. I don't like having a lot of things on the counter, but I feel like I don't have a lot of options. We use this almost every day, sometimes 2 times a day, toast almost every day. And then I have some fruit over here. Sometimes there are 2 trays of fruit. Sorry, this is an apple I'm working on. And then this is all water. I do collect a lot of things here in here. I've tried using a container to close everything up in, but eventually the container, just to hide it, eventually the container kind of fills up, and then
it just ends up being a container that's got a bunch of stuff in it.
Junk in it.
Gotcha.
So I do pretty well with my refrigerator. I don't know if that's something we focus on, but I feel good about how my refrigerator is organized.
Okay. And we usually don't really bother with the.
In here, definitely could use some TLC. So there's a lot of different things going on in here. A lot of it crafts, stuff I want my son away from. And then up here, this is more entertaining stuff.
Gotcha.
So I don't feel like I'm willing to let go of a lot of stuff I use for entertaining, even though I don't entertain very much right now because I don't have a formal dining table and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's the current state of my kitchen. I don't think it's too bad, but I look forward to hearing your opinion.
From what I can gather, it sounds like it's not so much a case of having a bunch of things that you don't need, more so you have these entertaining dishes, the dishes for entertaining that bring you a lot of joy and that you do enjoy, So finding a space for those where they can be out of the way but still kept safe for when you all do get a bigger space, or when the holidays come, or whenever it's time for you to pull those out. It does appear that that we have some options there. So I think I'm gonna kind of start by pulling out things sections at a time, so that we can really figure out what you utilize on a regular basis, and those are going to be our priority, and we'll start there.
And this is the area I forgot to mention. This is where we keep water. I used to keep it down there, but suddenly it got a little too full. Excuse all the toys. And we keep dirty cloths and towels here. And I would love for this stuff to be put away somewhere.
Okay, so I would like, if possible, to make it a goal if we can free up space in your cabinets and get rid of some of the extraneous stuff you don't need. I'd like to take anything that is not food out of the pantry. I know that you like the way that you're utilizing it now, but I think it'll be even more valuable to you once we can remove any items that aren't food, spread your food items out more so that you can see them, so your visibility goes up, and also you're able to reach them easier. If you have a table, like a side table or a corner table, that you can put this on.
Now I don't, I saw on Amazon that this brown stand, they have one that sits up higher. I do have a little toddler table I could use in the meantime, because that's not really being utilized.
Yeah, well, until you're able to get something that you feel like fits the decor, right? I would suggest that if you're able to, that we set up kind of a little table over in the corner there, and kind of we can make it look really nice. Move this over there to free up more counter space. And I say that because in general, with a kitchen, a lot of people don't realize that it's really key for you to have as much out of the way, hidden as possible. A lot of people choose to have things on their counter because they're easier to reach, things like that. But having an open counter, having a clean counter, not only makes you feel better, makes everything look cleaner, look more organized, and decreases anxiety. When you come into your kitchen, you want to have a sense of organization, of peace, of joy, so that it prompts you to make creative dishes, to actually do work, to cook and things like that. But if you come in and you just feel like overwhelmed as soon as you come in because there's so much stuff everywhere, the last thing you're going to want to do is actually put more work into the kitchen. So it'll help you keep it cleaner.
Okay.
If your spaces are clear.
Okay, good point.
With everything that we've got out so far. This space here is unique, right? Because it doesn't pull out, and it's very awkward to get in and out of. This space, on the other hand, is much easier to access, right?
It is. Once
that gets taken care of. Much easier to access. So, what I'm thinking is, this space here is almost wasted on the items that you don't utilize that much.
Okay.
So I think that we should utilize the awkward space that would be a bit harder to get in and out of, and use that for all of your entertaining dishes and all of that, since you're not going to get too much.
That's really a great point. I didn't think about that.
Cool. Okay. Let's confirm that everything that you have for entertaining purposes truly does give you joy, and that you really do want to continue using.
Okay. So here's some of the stuff I'm working with. Like I said, I got Ziploc bags in bulk by mistake one time. A lot of these things are wedding gifts. So let's see what we can do.
Okay.
So this, I've only used it one time. It's very awkward. It totally gets in the way. But I want to start making more cakes. I used to make more cakes and just keep them in this. And sometimes I used to bring them to parties, but I just don't do that anymore. But I want to.
Yeah. So a couple things to consider. One, that the actual cost of it probably didn't cost a whole lot. So it wouldn't be too painful to replace, right? Two, it may not, once you get to the point, whether it's a year down the road or 2 years down the road where you're starting to make more cakes, you also have to ask yourself, would that be the cake dish that you would want? Or would you want something that fits your style a little more? Or that makes the cake feel special, right? You're presenting a creation that you had, so nothing wrong with that. It's fine. It's, definitely, yeah, but you know, if you've gone into the work of making a cake and loving entertaining dishes and things like that as much as you do, you may end up wanting something a little more special.
Okay.
And if you don't, what is that, $13?
Yeah.
You can afford $13 in a couple years if that's the one that you decide on.
Good point. Thank you.
Yep.
I got these in Ecuador. I just absolutely love them, but I'm not exactly sure. I haven't used them, and it's probably been almost 10 years. And I'm not exactly sure how to use them because they're so light. I don't want people to actually use them, so I don't know if they should be displayed, but it's a lot of them for display. And see how pretty these are? But it's just like I just can't sit at a dinner with somebody and they wipe their mouth on those.
Right. So something to think about with something like this. These almost end up being more like a sentimental item because they bring you a lot of joy, but they're not really for everyday use or use at all, it sounds like. So what you may want to consider is this might be something where if you love it enough, we find a way to cut them down and maybe frame, do a series of frames that have them. Or, you may have to decide, okay, they're not worth the wall space to do, to frame them, and there's no other use you can think of for them. Then in that case, then you've got to make a decision on, okay, are they taking up space for something that will never be of use to you? So
one thing I'm just thinking about right now is I could, once I have a formal dining room, it could be on just like a place setting that's just like always a place at a table, and that way they are on display and I feel like they're being used because I just think they're so beautiful.
yeah,
So
something to think about for sure. So we'll put these aside for now and think a little bit more about our options.
okay.
So we've gone through everything and determined what you absolutely want to keep and what you are okay letting go of. I think that as we put this into here, the goal is going to be, one, to figure out how to most efficiently use the space. So we'll probably start with your boxed items because those will be easy to arrange, Tetris style, right? But I think we also want to keep in mind what you may use sooner than other things, and also what's most fragile. So my goal with this cabinet is to make it so that you don't even have to open this thing.
I'm fine with that.
You don't ever have to open this, and then when it is time to open it, it's really worth it for you.
Oh, great.
Because you're really preparing for something, preparing for an event, preparing to move, whatever it is. This is such an awkward cabinet that, we just want to make sure that that if you're going in it, it's because it's completely worth it.
Got it. So now I'm going through pots and pans, and she said to be brutally honest about what I use and don't use. Now, I don't use this very much. I had it, it's like, I think it's really for lobster, but I don't eat lobster, so I've always used it for corn, or when I was like cooking spaghetti in large quantities or some type of pasta, I would use it like this. But I'm just not getting, actually I think this goes with it too. I was also originally using this for steaming, and it has a lid, but I just don't use it anymore. I really don't use this kind of like grill pan or this just flat pan, but I don't like the Teflon stuff anymore. I want to find a healthier option for pots. So I really want to try to sell everything as a set. I feel like it will be a little more appealing to someone. These I'll keep, but for someone that wants to buy more of a set of pots. So I kind of have to be in the middle ground of listing this for sale and then also being prepared to get a few pots. And I would like your opinion on how many pots, or do you have an opinion on how many pots you need? Like, this is too much. I don't cook very much. The main ones I'll use this and these, and I have one small pot that's in the refrigerator. I mean dishwasher.
I think it just kind of depends on how much food you're cooking at one time. Obviously, once you get to the point where you feel comfortable to start entertaining more, then maybe you end up investing in a few more items because you'll need to cook more all at once. But it sounds like for your lifestyle right now, you're not using a ton of pots at one time. It sounds like you've got a few go-tos and then a couple quality items that you want to keep. So in my opinion, I would say if you're able to go ahead and not reintroduce these into your cabinet, commit to selling them. You have one pot that you already use quite often. You do use the skillet, but you're not very comfortable using it, obviously, because of the health issues or health concerns. So if it's a matter of, okay, you know, you can go out and you can replace one or two of these items.
That's a good idea.
You already have a small one. It might be worth it, even just for peace of mind.
That's a good point. Instead of waiting to sell it, just go ahead and get it. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead and get it. Put this aside, and that way you're not putting it back into that space. Once, and that's an important thing that you have to keep in mind, and everyone out there should keep in mind. Once it goes back in the space, even if you have every intention of pulling it back out, once it goes back in, it's very difficult to revisit it.
Okay.
You won't have time, you won't have energy, you won't have motivation.
Okay.
Especially if we find a really nice place for it to sit and it fits in perfectly and everything, it's really hard to go back and revisit it. So I'm going to advocate for you, anything that you feel like you will eventually replace, let's move it out now.
Got it. So we've just been talking about some of the glasses along with the pictures. So we've gotten, did we get rid of any pictures? No. We got rid of no pictures, but I thought it would be nice to have something for water, something for juice. We said this could go for water. I just always like the feel of this. So I decided to keep all the pictures, and she's kind of thinking about the best space for it. And then we started talking about glasses and just making sure that I really had full sets, which seemed like it's really important, wouldn't you say? Make sure you really have a full set and that you're going to use them. So these are more, I would use them a little bit more, but not every day. It's really if somebody comes over or if we have a formal dinner, we use these for water. And the place setting, now these were my grandmother's, so they mean a lot to me. All of this stuff was our grandmother's. Yes, but the thing is I've never used them. It is taking up a lot of real estate, a whole lot of real estate, but I feel like I'd rather get rid of other stuff than to let go of those. What are your thoughts on that?
And I think that's absolutely fine. It's just a matter of, making sure that that you have conviction behind that decision, and it sounds like you do, which is great. And we'll find a special place for them because obviously our grandmother's dishes mean a lot. The glasses mean a lot to you, and you have a specific use for the other glasses, which is is really the important thing. Is that you really you understand what they're for. You love them for the purpose that they serve and the way that they serve you. So we'll just look at a couple of the others and figure out what you want.
So these are just little short glasses. Now we don't have, one thing I didn't point out, we really don't have glasses, but these are a little short for like water though. And it says K, which it stands for a certain type of liquor, so it may be a little weird to serve that to somebody. Serve water in this to someone. Then I have this little thing which I always envision jelly beans or something, but I really haven't used it. But it's a nice little jar. So what are your thoughts on these?
These, honestly, I would say that you can probably let these go. One, because you've got a better, more expensive set that you have available for you for when people come over and need a drink. If you are saying, you know what, we don't really have glasses for water, I would first, before keeping those, I would utilize
Use
these.
those for water, okay.
So what I'm thinking is that while you may not use these for every day because your son is around and you want to make sure that you can clean these very easily and you can't do that right now, I would say we put these not on your lower shelf, but maybe your middle shelf, right? So that they're easy access for you all if you do want them for water, and if a guest comes over, you're not going into your special occasion glasses to get them.
Okay, so let go of these, and then what do you think about that?
I would say if you love it and you can put use to it right now, then that's great. If you have never used it and you're still envisioning what to do with it, I would say let it go. But what I'm going to suggest right now is that you hold off until we go through the pantry, and you may find something in the pantry that you want to put in there.
I never thought about that. Okay.
So we'll hold off. What we have done with all of the glasses, the formal glasses that you all saw out there. So what we've done is, if you'll notice, this cabinet is very hard to get to because it's right over the counter. However, it was more important that that space be saved for larger dishes. So what I've done is even though technically I always like to go from tall to small, I know that technically you should go from short to tall. So this works out well. But what we've done here is we've done the more formal, taller ones that she won't need access to as often, right above the counter. And then the ones that she may use a little more, which are the water goblets that we talked about, she'll have easier access to. Perfect. So that's the way that we're going to design it.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, I'm going to rearrange these so that we're going shorter to taller there. And was looking through her everyday glasses now.
Okay, so here are my everyday glasses. So I don't use these very often. They're only 3. So I didn't get rid of them in the last declutter, but now that we've identified the water goblets as something we're going to start using a little bit more, maybe I'll keep those. These are everyday plates. So these are fine. These these are for my son. Because if these break, it's okay, and we try to challenge him to use things like this as opposed to more kiddie dishes. And like I said, if they break, it's fine. I don't need all of these, so this is a good one. This is a good question for you. I don't need all of these, but because we let our son use them, nothing has broken yet. But if they do break, we still have a ton more. If anything, at one time, maybe 3 are in the dishwasher and 3 aren't being used. But I only have 2. Maybe I have 3 bowls. One's in the dishwasher. And it doesn't take a lot of space, too. I'm just saying I have a lot of saucers that aren't being used.
Yeah. And he uses these for his meals.
Yes.
Okay, so the bowls for his meals, and then you and your husband use these.
Yeah, we also have these for him that we're kind of moving out of, just some little silicone, and they have 2 bowls also. We have 2 bowls that go with that set. Okay. We use the bowls a little more. We don't use these because it's just kind of small for the servings that he takes now. Okay. And
so I would say, yeah, those serve a purpose, and you seem to use them quite a bit, and they're a transition for him out of the silicone into more big boy dishes, right? So yeah, you could definitely keep those.
Okay, and then I decided against these, so it's only 3. Now that I've identified the water goblets, I think that we would replace these. Okay. And there's more of those. These are how I used to store his baby food, so I'm going to put this stuff like these in the in storage with the rest of the baby items. Okay. I have just 3 of these. I really like the way they look. I like drinking water out of them, so I think I'm gonna keep these. Then I have just 2 random glasses. This one and one more. This one over here that I just kind of drink smoothies out of. See, it has a little bit of ring around it that I can't get out. But I feel like I have a lot of glasses. We have the goblets. I have these. I have 3 of these. So,
and then what about your? Okay,
so that's just like the glasses, and then I can go into mugs.
Yeah. So assuming, okay, so you love these.
I do like drinking out of those.
Okay. So these are, what are these used for? They're like
water.
They're used for water. Okay.
Yes.
So water for those, smoothie for this one.
Yeah, it's nice to have a tall glass for a smoothie. This I just use for water. I'm not tied to it anymore though.
Because that is a one-off random. If you're not tied to it and you don't love it, I think it'd be good to take that space back for things that you actually have at least partial sets of.
Okay.
And yeah, let's take a look at your mugs and see how those are looking.
So I drink a lot of tea, like you know. So I have a 4-piece set of these like animal mugs. So this one is my tea right now. So it's a gorilla, elephant, and it's like 2 more animals. Maybe they're in the dishwasher. Oh, here's a giraffe, and the other one's in the dishwasher. I think it's the elephant. Or no, there's the elephant. Anyway, then I have 2 of these, which are like kind of a his and her thing. His and her glasses. They were Christmas gifts. They picked up in Prague, which he actually drinks out of this a little bit more than me. And then there's one more. Oh, and then I have this tea set, which one of my followers, like, she mentioned that she really liked. So I have this tea set. Whenever I see it, I think of her. Anyway, it's funny. That I just like, but I never, ever, ever, ever use it. But when I had like a desk and I used to sit and work every day, that was like my like morning working mug, because it just like made me feel nice. It looked pretty on my desk. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Is this something that you will be using more often now, or do you think that maybe we put this in your top shelf save for when you are in a position to start using it more, or do you want to put it someplace that'll inspire you to start using it more?
Because I'm like just on the go so much, I don't see myself using that very much, because it's not very practical for where I am in my life right now.
Okay. Since it does bring you joy and you love it, we will find a place for it. Mug-wise, it doesn't sound like you need to get rid of any of your mugs.
Okay.
And you all don't have a ton of them, so let's figure out if we can make some space for those.
Okay.
These will go in storage though, so that's good.
Okay. Oh, and I forgot to address this with that kind of, I had this down with the pots. I mean, you know, of course, everybody needs a strainer. I already have a little one that I use for like beans, stuff like canned goods, and this is more like a big thing of grapes or lettuce, but it just takes up a lot of space, and I've seen the ones that collapse now, which I've had this for over 10 years, so I'm willing to invest in something else that makes a little more sense space-wise.
Okay.
Or should I see, maybe there's enough space for it now, so I don't get rid of it.
I think we will have enough space for it, but I would just say, you know, if there's something out there that you want more and you don't think that this is a good design for you anymore, then we can always, you know, I'm never going to argue about getting rid of something.
Well, you know, now that you said that we should have space for it, I'm okay with keeping it. Before I was working really hard to make it fit places, but you know, it's still perfectly fine. Maybe when we move, I'll think about something else that's a little more functional. So, okay, we'll keep that.
Go ahead, and if you would, go ahead and arrange the mugs and goblet or glasses the way that they should go in here. So I think you don't have really that many. I think they should all fit here.
Okay.
So, you know, it looks like we're trying to go from short to tall, but also keeping in mind what you pull most. And let's see if we can fit those in that bottom shelf.
So the glasses are put away. So now I'm focusing on these. So I just have, I actually have 3 casserole dishes. So 2 this size. So it's like down there. I forgot under the stove. There's a few things, and then a small one. These are definitely used when I do cook in that way. I like keeping these things. Just helps identify what's in my refrigerator. This is something new. My son's in the Montessori. One of the Montessori activities or lessons is squeezing things, so that's fun. I use these for like mixing seasonings. This is, you know, a measuring cup too, and then here's the second casserole dish or glass casserole dish. This, which I don't use, I think this belongs to the house that we're renting. Cake pans, muffin pans. I don't use the muffin pan, so we have to think about that. But, okay, so what do you think about the muffin pans, actually? So the cake pans I've used, muffin pans not so much. But I feel like you always need a muffin pan.
Well, not everyone needs a muffin pan. But
Okay.
what I would say is we have a space for it.
It's going to be up to you, and if you were to use a muffin pan, would these be the muffin pans you'd want to use?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't have any, and this is why this is a KonMari hybrid, right? Because obviously it's kind of a mix of a lot of different techniques. As far as I'm concerned, you don't need to get rid of them because we have space for them, and they are one of those things that comes in handy. So it wouldn't hurt, and maybe you revisit it, and you know, when it's time to move, I know you guys will be moving at some point, and you can go through everything and make sure that you have everything you want to take. So until that time, I would say you could probably keep them without much worry, because we're going to reorganize under there.
Okay. Now, for these, I have 2. Only time I use those are like Christmas, when you actually like, I don't cook meals like that. So that's the only time I use both at the same time. Should I still keep it?
Do these fit into each other? Like, is one slightly bigger?
Oh, I don't know.
Looks
I've
like
never
it.
tried.
Okay.
Okay.
So these, not really stackable, but workable.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say, honestly, if it were up to me, I would keep the matching set and get rid of the one off.
Okay.
Because if the only time you need it is at Christmas, if it comes down to it, you can grab another one for not a whole lot of money.
Yeah, and this was actually like used. I got this for free, and it's kind of stained up, not in the best shape.
Yeah, I would just keep these 2 because they both have lids. That one's going to be a little harder to transport anyway.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I think that it's worth, because it's lightweight, I think it's worth seeing if it works, putting this out of the way after it cools down. Now, I know that you wouldn't want to handle it when it's hot. I've noticed that I have the exact same model, and I've noticed that it cools down pretty quickly, and even when it's still warm, under here it isn't, because it's all like rubber and stuff. Obviously, you don't want to put something hot in your wooden, your wooden cabinet, but I'm going to ask you to just experiment with it for a little bit. The space will be clear if you find you need to pull it back up.
Okay, I'm going to try that.
Okay. So we've got all the non-food items out of the pantry.
Yes.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to ask you to go through those items, and let's make sure, I know you just did a purge recently on this, but I really want to just double, triple check that you truly need all of that stuff. Probably will end up needing a part 2 because there's some cabinets and drawers that we still haven't touched.
Okay.
But we can definitely do this, and I think this piece is important because then you can start really parsing out your pantry stuff. And I see you still got some plastic ware.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this napkin and plastic. Okay, I'll grab that.
That's okay. But, so this will probably be our last section because this will take a little while.
Okay.
And then I'll come back around for some of these other
Drawers.
items.
Okay.
Other drawers and things like that, and then we can hit that Cool.
Yep.
Lunch boxes and why there are so many.
Okay, I guess I have a... Okay,
Or
so...
maybe they're not lunch boxes.
This one is... My husband takes this one to work. Sometimes I'll use it. This is like a bigger one. Because we have a toddler, like you're always traveling with food.
Okay.
So that's why we have a lot of lunch boxes. This is, ice pack that he uses. And I know this is really weird. It's one of those, like... belt things for sweating, but he uses it. He works out a lot. My husband works out a lot, so he's constantly icing. So he uses that to hold the ice on him. We do have these lunch boxes here too, but sometimes like we fill those containers and then we put it in a lunch box. Yes, and then we kind of have one kitty. So it is. There are 3, but for like a house with kids, it's not that much stuff because you're constantly carrying food around.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys have a crap load of thermoses. So
yeah, so these are the ones that we aren't really using that we could really get rid of because we also have these. So okay, some are for tea, some are for smoothies. This one he keeps at work. That's my backup. Because I'm constantly carrying tea around and we're constantly carrying smoothies around. So we use all of those.
These you want to keep?
Yes. So these 2 are not sentimental, but just like represent the school my husband went to. And I think this one has Dad's company on it, which I've never used before. But in the perfect world, I would like to use that. But I've never used it. I've had it for like 10 years. You probably don't even have yours or remember even getting it. This is a pancake dispenser. I used to make so many pancakes. Now, unfortunately, my waistline can't handle them. But you put pancake in it and then you like squeeze it out. And then here's another thermos that I can get rid of now because I just got some I really like.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you on the thermos of Dad's that you haven't used in 10 years because I'm going to ask why you would like to keep it. Is it sentimental? Is it truly sentimental? Or is it just you feel guilty because it's got the name?
I feel guilty because it has this company name on it. And I've just never used it. I do like that it has a little strap. I like that it has a little strap on it. And it's a nice thermos. But I just have enough thermos. So it's okay. I have other things with his company name on it.
Yeah. Yes. We all have a lot of things with his company name on it. So, I mean, I don't think that he would mind if you're not finding it useful.
Do you think I should give it back to him? Because then I've never used it. Then I feel like it's just not kind of going to waste, but would that offend him?
Well, I will speak from the KonMari method on this one and say that a lot of times if they are items that you don't find use for, to give them to someone else who doesn't have necessarily a need for them is thought of as a burdening them with the objects that you're casting off. So I honestly would say that maybe someone in Goodwill or whatever might find it helpful to have something to carry around. So maybe you give it away.
Okay. Okay, so she challenged me to get rid of a few things. So these are what we're getting rid of. And this is what we're keeping. We have 2 for smoothies. My husband and I drink smoothies, so we both can have one. This one is just for water. This is my tea thermos that I use every day. This is just like nice to have a big water container. My husband uses this one at work. And here is more of a sentimental piece that's like good if you're just like doing more picnicky stuff or maybe like, something, because it's kind of plastic, so it's good to kind of have something like that. That's just lightweight. So this is all empty now, and I took the shelves out because she just needed some more space. So I'm going to pop off these things and adjust them a little bit so she can have the space that she needs. And here is some of the things that we're going to organize.
So, what I do, and a lot of people don't necessarily like to do this, and I'm not sure that you'll have enough space for us to do this, but we're going to try it. Because it's quicker and it's easier, whenever you're reaching for a container, you need it right away. You don't want to be fumbling for tops and trying to figure out where the tops are. I store my containers with the tops. Even though you lose space and not being able to stack them, it ends up being worth it for me. So we're going to see if that works. Okay, so you've got a lot of plasticware here. How often do you use these items? Are they just for like cookout stuff, summer stuff when people come over?
So these are for anytime we have a little gathering, just little cocktail napkins. We don't use these. These are probably dusty, honestly, but we don't use these. So, because like we don't do that cookouts and stuff.
Okay.
And once we do get in a house that does have a porch, we can just get some more really. And then we have the plasticware. Yeah, it's just brand new, so that's why I didn't get rid of it.
Okay. So I'm going to take the same approach I did last time. Is it worth the real estate if they are, what, $4 to replace total?
Sometimes, like, if we do a park thing, it's nice to have stuff like this.
Okay. So you
do
do feel you'll be using it this summer?
Now that I know it's here, I didn't know that they were there.
Okay.
I will. I'll make an attempt to use that.
Okay. So in that case, we will do our best to find a place for them. Next thing I want to ask you about, do you need all of these, or would you be willing to give some of these to Goodwill?
So, I've had to think about it.
Okay. So think about that over the next couple minutes while we do this.
Okay, so my whole thing with these, I'm just talking out loud. I bought them in bulk by mistake. I don't like plastic, so I don't use them very often. I have some reusable sandwich bags. So maybe a regular household would go through all of these things much faster. I'm not talking about the trash bags. I'm just talking about all the Ziploc sandwich bags. Regular household would go through this stuff much faster, but since I'm like so anti-plastic, I use them sparingly. So I've had these for like 4 years and I haven't been able to get rid of one box. Maybe 1 or 2 of these are open, mainly because my son opens them, but I think 2 are not. So I'll probably just give them to a neighbor or something.
Your sister will take them.
Oh, there you go. Well, my sister will take them / organizer. Professional organizer.
So we've got our cabinet that has full use now. We've got containers, we've got thermoses, we've got mixing bowls, and we've got vitamins and lunch bags down at the bottom there. Everything easy to access.
Okay, let's get a closer look. And I'm doing before and after pictures right now.
Here we have plates. We dedicated an entire shelf, and that's because I really want to be able to really see when they open their cabinets, see adult cabinets, right? And just have a small section for kids' items. That way they also remember that they were adults first before they were parents. And same thing with their glasses and mugs. All of those are arranged. Down here we have pots. Get down to 2. She's got her casserole dishes and her colander. And then here, if you remember, there used to be thermoses. Now all of her appliances are in one place. This is phase 1. So phase 2, we will look at her drawers, we'll look at our pantry, and we'll look at putting away some of the harder to categorize items.
Okay, now I'm just going to do the before and after shot of this. Okay, and here's everything that's either going into storage. Just a few little things are going into storage. Everything else I'm either going to sell or donate.
So, as you all can see, we followed a couple different methods. So even though we use KonMari, the KonMari method primarily, it is not traditional orthodox KonMari. It is a hybrid. based on some other needs and some other preferences based on what we found in the kitchen. So just one thing to remember, but hopefully everyone found it helpful.
Okay, well, just do us together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll put in the description box some of our other videos that we've done, other spaces, and hopefully she'll come back in a week and we'll finish the phase 2 of the kitchen. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and please subscribe. See you guys next time.